And start on your back again here for a simple outer hip stretch. Knees bent and feet flat, starting with a neutral pelvis. And for a moment, take your arms overhead along the floor, lengthen the armpits and the elbows. Extend the spine long and take a deep inhalation. Let the pelvis be heavy and relaxed. Be grounded in your feet. And then take your arms out to the sides and cross your right ankle over your left knee. And let the right knee open out to the right. And then lift the left foot up off the floor, which will bring your whole right leg closer to your chest. And then grab onto the back of the left thigh. So grab onto the hamstring close to the knee with both of your hands. So the right hand will go in the hole between the right leg and the left leg. And think of pressing your right knee away from your chest as you bring the right shin bone towards your collarbones. Press the right thigh away from the abdomen. And breathe into this sensation here. Pull your left knee and right ankle closer into your chest to deepen the stretch. Still pressing the right thigh and knee away from your chest. And then release and come to center, both feet on the mat. Arms out to the sides and cross the left ankle over the right knee, keeping the left knee open. And then start to take the right knee and left ankle towards the chest as you grab onto the right hamstring with both hands. Left arm reaching in the hole between the left thigh and the right thigh. And keep pressing the left knee away from you. And that's happening because the femur is turning in the hip socket. So you're finding a deep external rotation in the hip socket in order to stretch the deep hip rotators. And pull the right knee and left ankle closer into your chest. Stay long in your spine here. Don't harden or push the abdomen, but stay long in the lumbar, long in the thoracic spine. Breathing deeply here. Breathing into the sensations, relaxing into the stretch that you feel. And then release the right foot down and the left foot down. Stretch your arms out to the sides. Relax and lengthen the belly. Rest in neutral. And now we'll practice Supta Padangusthasana 4. So have your strap nearby, extend your arms, extend your legs, roll the thighs inwards a little bit, ground the thighs. And then keep that sense of length in your trunk as you lasso the right heel, extend the right leg all the way up to the ceiling, and extend the left leg along the floor, long in the low belly, outer right hip moves away from the right waist. You can have a bent right knee here if that's better for you. Long spine. And then grab onto the strap with the left hand only and take your right hand onto the outer right thigh hip area. And see if you can pull that outer right thigh and hip area away from the right waist. And keep that happening as you extend the right arm out to the right and let the right leg move over to the left, just about a foot. So you're starting to cross the leg over towards the left side, keeping extended in that right knee, keeping long in the right waist. And then come back to center and we'll switch sides. Now lassoing the left heel. Reach the left leg up, again bending the knee if that's better for you. And extend the right leg long, profound internal rotation at the very top of that right thigh to keep the groin relaxed. Long belly, long in the front of the spine, elbows wide, shoulder blades sliding down the back. And then grab onto the strap very close to the foot with the right hand only. And the left hand will come to the outer left hip and thigh, encouraging that outer left hip to move away from the left waist, staying long in the left waist. And extend your left arm out to the left as you pull the leg over to the right side, just about a foot. Stay open in the backs of the knees. Pulling that leg across the body, but not too much, so the sacrum should stay grounded. Enjoying the stretch in the outer thigh here. And then come back to center. And then release, bending both knees, feet flat. Reach your arms overhead and then stretch both your legs out, internally rotating at the tops of the thighs, lengthening through the arms, stretching the knees and the elbows. And so you'll lay down on your back now for this core breath exercise with a tuck. Start in neutral, neutral pelvis, parallel legs, bent knees, feet flat, arms by your sides. And inhale to lengthen the spine, open the rib cage. And then exhale, pull the back layer of the abdomen back towards the back body. Find a contraction there and then gently tuck the pelvis to reach the low back towards the floor, pressing into the feet. Complete the exhalation here. And then release all of that contraction. Come back to neutral as you inhale and lengthen your spine again. And exhale. Pull the deepest, lowest back of the belly back towards the spine and contract there. So it's the layer behind the organs. It's the psoas that's working. And then tuck the pelvis and increase all of that work, contracting there, still exhaling. I'll call this a scoop. And then release as you inhale, lengthening. And exhale, a deep scoop and a tuck, drawing the deepest, lowest part of the abdomen back towards the spine. And then release into neutral as you inhale, lengthening here. And exhale, a deep contraction, pulling the belly back and in. And then a tuck. Press the feet, continue the exhalation all the way to the bottom. And then release this, bring the pelvis back to neutral as you inhale and lengthen the spine. And exhale, pull the back of the belly back and in. Connecting the back surface of the belly towards the anterior surface of the spine, and then find a deep contraction of the psoas here, pressing the feet into the floor. Finish the exhale. And then inhale and lengthen the spine again, coming back to neutral. And exhale again, same thing, deep contraction, scooping the low belly. Inhale, lengthening the spine, neutralize. And exhale, a deep contraction into a tuck. The lower belly pulls back towards the back body and in, lower back towards the sticky mat. And then release into neutral as you inhale again. And this time exhale, stay in neutral. Now we'll practice Ardhanavasana. So lay on your back again, starting with a neutral spine here. Feet flat, knees bent. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Be in neutral here. And then exhale and find a deep contraction of the low belly. So the low, deep belly pulls back towards the interior spine, tucking the pelvis, and then stretch your legs out at 45 degrees and lift your shoulder blades and arms up. Inhale here and find length in the limbs. Exhale and scoop the belly again, thinking of the belly moving towards the back body, contracting there. Inhale, stretch the arms and stretch the legs. Roll the thighs in and make your legs longer. Exhale, find a deep contraction. Inhale, be here. Exhale, a deep contraction again. 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 And then inhale, lay back down, bend your knees, feet flat, and recover here. Smooth breath, inhaling and exhaling. And now for Supta Urdhva. Make sure that the flesh of your buttocks is pulled away from the low back, and then stretch your legs out one at a time and reach your arms up overhead but along the floor. And stretch your whole body out in this manner. Open the feet, open the toes, roll your thighs in and ground your thighs down towards the mat. And pull your rib cage long away from the legs. Lengthen and extend your arms. So pull your legs towards the feet and pull your arms towards the hands. And let your abdomen, let your whole midsection, let your lumbar receive that stretch. Breathing here as you stretch the legs and stretch the sides of your belly, stretch the arms. Relax and release any tension that's unnecessary as you lengthen, and then bend your knees and come back to neutral. Now we'll do belly rolling pose with a block. Laying on the back to start, place the block between your knees, knees over hips, shins parallel to the floor. Stretch your arms out to the sides, wake up your feet. Spread the arms, inhale, lengthen the spine, and then exhale, lower the knees down towards the right hand, squeezing the block. Pull the belly to the left, slide the shoulder blades down the back, press the backs of the hands into the floor, squeeze the block between the knees and lower the knees down a little more to the right as you roll the belly left. Stretch the left arm to the left, and then inhale, come back to center. Squeezing the block, and exhale, take the knees over to the left arm. Reach the right arm to the right, wide through the arms, shoulder blades down the back. Pull the belly to the right. Roll the belly to the right as the legs go left. Long spine here, and then inhale back to the center. And exhale the knees over to the right side, squeezing the block. Belly recedes back and slides to the left. And then inhale to the center. Exhale, take the knees over towards the left elbow as the belly rolls to the right. And inhale back to center. Exhale, recede and scoop the belly as it rolls left as the knees go right. Inhale, center, squeezing the block. Exhale, let the belly recede and roll to the right as the legs go to the left elbow. Nice and even and wide through the arms, and continue like this again to each side. Shoulder blades sliding down the back, long in the anterior spine. connecting the outer knees in towards the inner knees, towards the block. Stretch the elbows, open the hands, hug your shoulder blades into the rib cage. And then lower the feet back down to the floor and relax here. Smooth inhalation and exhaling. Remove the block from between your knees and rest in neutral. And now place a blanket onto your sticky mat so that your shins will have some padding, and come to hands and knees, and we'll practice some hip circles. So let your hips fall forward towards the wrists, and then let your hips move all the way to the left, and then all the way back. And continue this big hip circle, taking the hips all the way over to the right, and hips come all the way back to the center, and continue like this, circling. And you can let your elbows and arms and hands and upper spine and head and feet just feel alive and responsive and receptive to these big hip circles. So let your body move as it feels natural. Find a rhythm with your breathing and continue these big circles, taking the hips around and around. Smooth movement here as you breathe. Let your whole body be involved in this activity. Stay open and wide and lifted in the back of your throat. And then circle in the other direction, taking the hips over to the right and back and left and down, going at your own pace here, circling, exploring the outer edges of this circle, exploring the range of motion here. What's possible for you right now? Free your breath here as you move, as you circle. Now we'll practice Virasana. So spread your blanket out on your sticky mat, and this will be the padding for your shins. And then place your block on the lowest height onto the blanket. Come onto hands and knees with the block between your feet. And then take the top of your head onto the sticky mat, lift the buttocks, and put your hands onto the tops of your calves so that you can pull the calves both down towards the feet and also out to the sides. So as you roll those calves out to the sides, you make space to let the femur bones settle between the shins. And then sit your butt down on the block and pull the flesh of the buttocks back so you can sit really on the center of the sitting bones. And then reach underneath the skin of the knees and pull the skin of the shins forwards. And then rest your hands on your thighs and sit tall here. And you can enjoy how in this pose the femurs are internally rotated and you're also resting. And then interlace your fingers and press your palms forward and then lift the arms up. Keep the back, deep abdomen settling back and lengthening as you take the arms back. So the front waist moves to the back waist. The waist elongates. Lengthen through the armpits and squeeze your outer arms in. Let the outer hips settle and find a deep ascension through the midline of the trunk. Lengthen the anterior spine from bottom to top. And then lower your arms down and change the interlace pressing the palms forward and all the way up over the head. Extend the elbows, extend the waist. Release and ground the tops of the femurs here. The pubic bone is descending, the groins are deep. The back of the abdomen settles back and lengthens. Gather your outer arms and stay extended in the sides of your body as you slide the shoulder blades down slightly. Open the palms, outer hips releasing down. And then lower your arms down and rest your hands on your thighs. Now we'll practice pigeon pose with some supportive props. So have a blanket on your sticky mat, and that will be padding for your back knee. And have a bolster horizontally on your mat and 2 blocks up at the front of your mat. And then sit on your bolster with your right leg in the pigeon position in front of the bolster. And the front of the back thigh, at the top of the thigh, will be resting on the bolster as you see here. So come into this position. It's a pigeon position, but with the bolster supporting you underneath the pelvis. And have your hands on the blocks quite wide. And let the blocks help you sit very tall. And the right knee is quite wide. Make sure that your right knee is wider than your right hip. So the right knee is pretty much right at the right side edge of your yoga mat. And internally rotate the back thigh so that the front of your back leg is pointing down. And then lift the low belly and elongate the spine. Create a deep internal lift in the trunk. And see if your tailbone can become quite heavy here. Lift from underneath the collarbones and use your hands to help you lift the rib cage up off the abdomen and even lengthen the throat and look up. And now we'll start to forward fold here, coming onto the forearms. And as you come onto the forearms, let your pelvis become very heavy into the bolster. And to increase the stretch, you can move your right heel further away from the bolster. In other words, the right foot can come towards your left elbow. Or you can stay here and just breathe into the sensations that arise in the outer right hip especially. Staying long in the spine here, staying buoyant in the belly here. Stay present, steady breathing. And then walk your hands back and come out of the pose by sitting on the shins, on the blanket, and then switch sides. So now take the left knee forward and set yourself up here so the left knee is quite wide near the outer left edge of your yoga mat. Internally rotate the back thigh. And so you're in this seated upright position with the bolster supporting you under your pelvis. And think of pulling that left femur back to help you square the hips. Lift the low belly. Use your hands to sit nice and tall, lengthening in the side ribs. Spread wide across the collarbones and lift the whole rib cage up off of the pelvis. Lift the whole rib cage up off of the abdomen and lengthen up through the central axis of the body. Relax and open the back of the throat and even look up. Gather the left femur back to square the hips as you elongate your trunk forward and come onto forearms, letting the pelvis relax into the support of the bolster here. Let the belly Let the belly recede towards the anterior spine. Lengthen the thoracic spine forwards. Stay present here as you breathe, observing the sensations. And then use your hands to help you out of the pose, coming onto hands and knees and then sitting on the shins. Now we'll practice Gomukhasana legs. So stack up 2 folded blankets, as you see here. And then come onto your hands and knees with the blankets behind you. And cross your right knee in front of the left knee, as you see. And then you'll crawl yourself back so that the folded blankets are between the feet. And let yourself come to sit back so that your buttocks, your sitting bones, are supported by the blankets, and your legs are in this very crossed position. And take a moment to adjust the flesh of your calf muscles and adjust the flesh of the buttocks so that you can sit right on the center of the sitting bones, and so your legs are very deeply folded into each other. So you can have the heels quite close to the outer hips, or you can move the heels a little further from the outer hips. Hands on the blanket behind you. Lengthen and lift the spine, shoulders back, elbows back. Let your thigh bones settle. And then change the position of the hands so the hands will rest on the top knee. Have straight elbows and lift from underneath the heart. The abdomen is receding back. And let the thigh bones and the knees be heavy and relaxed. And then start to come forward, taking your hands onto the floor, and walk those hands even more forward as you find a gentle forward bend here. So let there be a gentle curve in the spine, something like a child's pose back. Think of pulling the right femur back towards the hip socket, and think of firming the outer hips towards each other. Let the upper buttocks release down towards the blankets behind you. And breathe into the sensation here. Connect your femurs back into the hip sockets. Smooth breathing. Be the witness here. Observe yourself in this posture. Observe yourself responding to the sensations. Observe yourself breathing. And then start to walk your hands back to let yourself back up, hands resting on the top knee. Come all the way upright in your spine, head over tail. And then come forward onto hands and knees again, and we'll switch sides. So now take the left knee in front of the right knee, crossing the shins. And back your hips up so that your hips will come down onto the blankets. And take a moment here to adjust the flesh of your buttocks, to adjust the flesh of the calves. And sit tall on the center of your sitting bones. Hands on the blankets behind you. Lengthen the sides of your waist all the way up into the armpits, so those side ribs are lifting and the heads of the humerus bones go back. So there comes a natural lift from under the heart, from under the collarbones. Pubic bone is descending, groins deep and descending. And let your hands rest on the top knee here as you invite the femurs to get grounded, the knees to be heavy and relaxed. Spine is tall and natural. And then pull the left femur back towards the hip socket and gather your outer hips in towards the midline as you walk your hands forward to find the forward bend here. Gentle, natural curve of the spine as the belly recedes, as the upper buttocks releases down, as you gently lengthen the trunk forward. Head is relaxed. You can stay active with the femur bones, gathering the femur bones back towards the hip sockets and gathering the outer hips in. Breathe into the sensations here, observing each moment, not at all placing judgment on the situation. Stay present here and breathe into the sensations that arise. And now start to walk your hands back so that you can sit up tall. Hands stack on the top knee again. Steady, smooth breath here. Lifting and opening through the back of the throat. Outer hips are grounded. And then come forward onto hands and knees to come out of the pose. Now we'll practice Janu Shirshasana, so have a blanket folded that you can sit on. And sit your buttocks down onto the blanket and stretch your legs out in front of you. And pull the flesh of the buttocks back so that you can sit up tall on the center of your sitting bones. Fingertips down, shoulders back. And then bend the left knee out to the side so the left sole of your foot comes very close to the right inner thigh. And use your fingertips on the floor to help you point the midline of your torso directly over the midline of your right leg. And then continue that action to twist fully to the right. So the left hand is on the right knee, right hand is on the blanket, twisting to the right for a moment, and then start to come forward and grab onto the outer right foot with your left hand. The right fingertips are on the floor to support you, and start to lengthen your rib cage forward, lengthening the front ribs as much as the back ribs towards the right foot. Relax and release the left buttock back and down. Think of the whole belly sliding over to the right so that the midline of your belly comes directly over the midline of the right thigh, and then lengthen your belly forward even more. Pull the right thigh bone back towards the hip socket. Ground the right thigh bone down. So the deep low belly slides to the right, and then lengthen both sides of your rib cage straight forward, directly towards the right foot. Using your hands to help you. And then inhale and come all the way up to center. Take the left knee up to the ceiling and then stretch your left leg long, and then pull the right knee out to the side, connecting the right sole of the foot to the left inner thigh. Both sets of fingertips on the floor now to help you start to turn your body so the midline of the trunk is in line with the midline of the left leg. And then continue this as a twist Twisting the belly around to the left and the rib cage, right hand to outer left knee, left hand on the blanket, turning. And then see if you can use that space you made to come forward, grabbing onto the outer left foot with your right hand, and let your belly recede and slide over to the left. So the midline of the belly is in line with the midline of the left thigh, and start to come forward even more. So the belly recedes and slides to the left and lengthens forward. Sides of the waist lengthen forward as well. And let the right butt cheek release back and down. And continue to find more space in your trunk as you fold forward. Pulling the left femur back towards the hip socket. Grounding the left thigh bone down. And then bend the right knee up to the center. And then come out of the pose. Now we'll practice Tarasana, another forward bend. And we'll use a blanket here as well. So sit on the edge of a folded blanket. And bend your knees, take your knees out to the sides and feet together, but have your feet a little further away from your pelvic floor than in Baddha Konasana. So there's quite a nice distance between your heels and your pubic bone. Hands onto the blanket behind you, long in your spine, shoulders back, lengthen the sides of your body, lift the spine from bottom to top, and then start to fold yourself forward, finding a gentle rounding in your back, a back something like child's pose. Soft belly receding and lengthening. Let the upper buttocks release down. And let the knees be heavy, relaxing. And go inside here as you breathe, as you focus and stay present. Breathe into the sensations here. Go right into the sensations with your awareness. And then inhale as you roll yourself all the way up, sitting tall, hands resting on knees. And then bend your knees to come out of the pose. And now we'll practice Sukhasana, forward bend with a chair. So sit on a folded blanket as you see here and cross the right shin in front of your left, and the chair will be right in front of you. And then pull the flesh of the buttocks back so you can sit on the center of the sitting bones. Press your fingertips down into the blanket, let your shoulders go back, lift the side ribs, and create a deep internal lift from the pelvic floor all the way up through the central axis of the body. And then start to come forward, primarily hinging at the hips, but keep a soft roundness in the spine, something like a child's pose back. And then cross your forearms on the seat of the chair and rest your forehead on your forearms. Relax and release the thighs. The abdomen is gently receding back. And become quiet in the center of the brain here. Observe the sensations. See how much you can release any extraneous, unnecessary gripping that's in your buttocks or in your outer hips. Relax and release there. And then come up to sit and switch the cross of your legs, now bringing the left shin in front. Make sure your heels are not too close to your sitting bones, but rather the heels are quite far from the sitting bones, ankles under knees. Lengthen your spine using your hands as support. And then come forward and cross your forearms the other way and rest your head on your forearms. Abdomen receding. Outer hips relaxing and releasing. Becoming quiet in the center of your brain. Observe sensations as they arise and fall away. Observe all of the change in each moment. Observe all of the change inside yourself. Go deep inside yourself here, observing, listening. Smooth out your breathing. Stay present here as you breathe. And then come up and take your hands to the blanket behind you and sit tall. Stay very quiet here as you sit with a long spine. Now we'll practice a version of corpse pose called dead man pose. So make a loop in your strap and step your feet through the loop. And then tighten up the strap so that your knees are strapped together fairly snugly. And then start to lay down on your back and set up the flesh of your buttocks so that it's pulling away from the lower back, so the buttocks is releasing towards the feet side. And now make your feet quite wide, so the feet are as wide as your sticky mat, and point your toes in slightly so you're a little bit pigeon-toed. And then slide your shoulder blades down your back and take a nice deep breath in to lengthen your spine and let your arms and hands relax. And just let the femur bones relax here. So the femurs are relaxing into the hip sockets. Smooth, steady breath here. And now start to draw your knees in towards your chest so that you can reach for the strap. Loosen it up a little bit and then take the strap off your legs. And roll onto your side and come on up.